Welcome, gender-conscious friends. I am your host, Fate. My pronouns are they, he, she, and I'm so glad the simulation brought you here today. I missed you guys. This is Our Lives, Gender Included, where I and another gender-conscious friend talk about things found in everyday life and how gender, if at all, affects those topics. This episode's topic is movies, but before I intro our guest, I gotta get the important stuff out of the way. First of all, thank you to all of the listeners and everyone who helps make this podcast possible. I love making this podcast on my own, but I love hearing from people who have listened or who have been on the show. It makes me want to keep going. So thank you for listening and existing. Also, I want to thank this podcast's first financial supporter, Danielle M. Thank you so much. Also, if the podcasting platform you're listening on so supports it, please rate and review. It is very good for podcasts, and I would be eternally grateful. Also, if you're into the social media thing, all of the links are on my website, lyricallyfaight.wixsite.com/fatesay. All the links are at the bottom of the first page. My TikTok, I use a lot. My Insta, which I've been using a little bit more, okay? I've been using my Instagram, oh my gosh. My Twitter, which, oh my god, I made a couple more tweets, that was crazy. Don't expect any more. My YouTube, it's still in the same state it was in probably the last time you were here. Sorry, friends. It's very difficult. I've been trying a new approach, and maybe you'll get a new video soon. Who knows? There's a link to this podcast if you would like to share it with somebody, a link to a wish list if you'd like to give me a present, a link to my Patreon if you would like to financially support me in exchange for different benefits, a link to my Redbubble if you would like to buy my art on various products, and now a link to my webtoon called Pre-Tea. It's about me being pre-tea, but also I'm a teacup, so it's a pun and it's hilarious. You're welcome. And with that, on to the episode. Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you are. So, this is our gender-conscious friend, Finnley. Hello.
Hi.
So to start off, how about you just tell us about your gender journey? Kind of like how you got to this point in your gender right now.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot because, I can't get into words how I felt, but, my whole life, my gender hasn't been, a thing. Hasn't been oh, I'm female, this is how I should act, or this is how I should do things in life. And I just thought that was, a normal thing. Everyone was, okay with being called whatever. And then I was, I'm, 16, and I started to get into, trans things and researching, and I thought I was a trans guy for a day. And then I stopped thinking about it, and then about 2 years ago I was having a conversation with one of my friends, and we were just looking up genders and discussing it, and I'm oh, that's how I feel. This is me. And it's just everything kind of fell into place about how I viewed life and myself. I mean, that's really it. It was very simple. My household's pretty open-minded.
Yeah.
And
that's nice, yeah. It is nice to have family who kind of just gets it sometimes.
Yeah. It took my mom a minute, but she did research. She even joined a trans group for parents who have trans kids to just understand.
That's pretty cool. So the topic for this episode is movies. Do you watch a lot of movies?
I watch a lot of scary movies. That's my favorite genre.
Favorite genre of scary movies. I think I like dramas, movies that'll make
Mm.
me cry. If the movie can make me cry, it's great. Especially if there's a child actor and it makes me cry. I'm like, that's great. That child did great. If that child does not make me cry, that movie sucks. Um, so what are your thoughts on some of the like male or female stereotypes that are kind of in like older movies that you've watched and maybe some of the newer ones that you've watched?
Stereotypes such a relevant, like such a big thing in like the horror genre.
Hmm.
Like you either like it's on the subcategories of you're either this nice girl or guy, or you're this jock or cheerleader, and you kind of almost deserve what comes to you.
Hmm.
And it's such a weird thing because I love scary movies, but I don't love some of the how it goes along with things.
Hmm.
And it's just a weird like vibe you get from scary movies about gender in general.
Yeah. Like almost like they're trying to like be like, if you're a jerk, you get punished by a serial killer. And you're like, huh, sure.
Like there are rare instances of final girls or final people who were like not this like very purity culture in
Hmm.
horror movies, which is weird because it's supposed to be like a differentiate for like those kind of genres, and
Yeah.
it still kind of goes along with that.
Have you seen any recent scary movies that have changed those stereotypes, or are they all still kind of like that?
I recently watched The Menu not that long ago,
Okay.
and the main character was actually a escort,
Okay.
and she was not viewed as being wrong or being deserving of punishment. Quite the
That's nice.
opposite. She was like the only one who's like the villain was like viewed her as another service industry,
Hmm.
and it was just a normal thing.
Yeah, that's kind of like, but were all the people like actively worse than her, or were they all just like normal people?
Well, they also were actively worse than her,
Yeah,
so
that's kind of like Joe from You. Like Joe is like actively a serial killer, but also like everybody around him is just kind of worse. And you're
yeah,
like, well, gotta root for Joe then.
yeah. I mean, sometimes you just gotta root for the villain. Sometimes you just gotta. I've never gotten into You, but I've seen and heard things about it and watched people talk about it. And
Hmm.
I mean, it's true. If you, even if your villain's a bad person, if you have surrounded by bad people,
Yeah,
it's you're gonna go for the least bad person.
yeah. I think since I watch a lot of drama, it's usually a lot of like, this guy is sad, so this woman is gonna fix him. Or this woman is sad because some guy, and this guy's gonna fix her. And you're like, all right, somebody's gotta get fixed.
Yeah, I feel that that's so true. I mean, I feel like that's in a lot of genres of, and it's such a weird thought because it's not both ways. So if it is the man, it's he's sad, this woman's gonna come and fix him. If the woman's sad, it's because a man broke her in the
Hmm.
sense. It's such it just shows what we think of women and people in society that aren't men
Yeah, it's like
sometimes.
women can't be sad over anything except for other men. And like men are having like existential crises with their lives. They're like, I don't know if I'm gonna be a great whatever the fuck accountant I am in this movie. I don't know. They're always something boring and it doesn't make sense anyway. But like then they meet their, quote unquote manic pixie dream girl and she changes his life and it's for the better. And you're like, oh my God, where was she the whole time? Oh, okay. Well, now that he's better, she can leave. Actually, get the fuck out.
Yeah, that's so true. It's
But
always
like,
boring.
yeah, but then like in the dramas for women, it's like she just broke up with her fiance of 7 years because he cheated on her and now she'll never love again. But look at this really nice pumpkin farmer that she just met.
it's always that like they go back to like the hometown or they go to a countryside to relax and I'm
Hmm.
like I get it. If I was broken up with or I broke up with a partner of 7 years, I would want to leave town.
Yeah.
But also like
Immediately jump into another relationship?
the
Mm,
only ones I kind of understand is like if she jumps into a relationship with the guy she's liked before she moved to like the big city or something like that. But like that's
yeah,
still
yeah.
weird.
Like if they had a previous relationship, I'm like, okay, I see what's happening here. You know? But like if you have literally never met this man before, are you okay? Like, I'm
It's
sorry, every woman knows to never just like all of a sudden go hanging out with dudes you never met before in your entire life. He could be a serial killer.
yeah, that's why I refrain from like love, romance. Like it's always like the same cliche.
Yeah,
And it gets tiring.
yeah. I think now though, I like some of them. Some of them they kind of overdo it with the like, she's a feminist.
Yeah,
So
that's a
like
big thing now.
every time he hits on her, she has a snarky comment, and you're like, okay, cool. Do they have any chemistry though? Like this is weird. Like what? It doesn't make sense that they're together in the end. She literally hated him until 5 minutes ago.
I
Okay,
I I hate that when there's like no chemistry at all
yeah,
until like the last 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, they should not be together.
yeah,
Where'd this come from? Like there was no flirting at all.
hmm,
Well,
yeah,
no flirting on her side usually. Especially if
yeah,
she's portrayed as a feminist.
hmm,
But like usually even those types that when they're portrayed as feminists, it's like from this like very like stereotypical like media feminist.
yeah. And you know, I try to watch as many queer movies as I can, but a lot of them are just coming out movies over and over again, and I can only do that so many times.
Oh yeah, that's true. Reboots or like just the same concept. Like we need new things in these genres.
Yeah, like if they were like, oh look, like in, did you see The Strange World, the new Disney movie that they made?
I have not yet.
Okay, well, I'll try not to spoil it for you, but like basically everything that's happening, you're like, oh man, this is such a great movie, blah blah blah, and like the kid is gay, and there's like a little side plot where like he's got a crush on this kid back home, and every once in a while they mention it, and in the end they hug. They don't even actually kiss, they hug, and you're like, oh yeah, he was gay. This was a cool movie about a gay person. There you go.
I love things like that where being gay isn't like this big focal point. It's just who they are. They're not a gay person in a movie. They're just a person who happens to be gay in a movie.
Yeah, and it's really hard to watch a lot of like a lot, especially older like queer movies because it's really like a they fall in love, but it's forbidden. And you're like, oh my gosh. So then it's like heartbreak at the end, of course, because gay people can't be happy at the end of movies back then. That's crazy. Why would they do that? Um, and like even now, even though they get together, it's more like the first iteration of the couple broke up because the one person wouldn't come out when the other person was ready or something, you know? And it's kind of just like a lot of this depends on coming out. And it makes it good for drama, but not good for that's the only stories that queer people ever see about themselves in movies.
Yeah, I just recently watched a YouTube literally talking about how there's so much toxicity in in queer movies.
Mm-hmm.
Only for this like a lot of queer people happen to be like the bad guys,
Yeah,
and it is interesting because they do. Queer people happen to be the bad guys, or
they're
like
usually queer coded. Yeah,
yeah, like even if they're not outright, oh that person's gay, it's like wait,
yeah.
like and it makes sense. Like
There's no way you saw Mother Gothel and thought that was a straight woman. You know, like
yeah, and it's a weird thought process that makes no sense to me as like but also we kind of romanticize that as queer people sometimes because that's the only thing we see.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
we see straight couples all the time in movies where they're the good guy. But like when it comes to that, we kind of have to take what we can get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kind of on the topic of that, what's some movies you have where you kind of like really, really love the queer representation in it, or really, really hate the queer representation in it?
I can't think of any movies, but I've the two favorite TV shows of all time right now are Haunting of Hill House and Haunting of Bly Manor, and both have main characters who are queer.
Mm.
And yes, they're toxic in a sense of they're both going through grief, so like the relationships aren't going to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But in one of them, the character is just happens to be gay, but it's not like a big focal point in their life.
Mm.
And I like that because the whole family, it's just, oh, you're seeing this woman.
Yeah.
That's it. There's no like, and I hate to say I don't watch a lot of queer things or things that have queer people in them.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't actively seek out things outside my genre typically unless like I'm like, oh, that looks really interesting.
Yeah. That's fair.
And you don't see that in horror movies.
Not really, no. Horror's not really. They're not like, oh man, can't wait to show all these gays getting murdered. Although, you'd think that they would.
I mean, a lot of horror movies based on like real life monsters, and that's a real life thing that happens.
You'd think they'd be like, oh man, here's an excuse to murder all the gay people.
Hmm.
And you gotta be like, well, it is a horror movie.
Yeah, you can't really like say, oh, that's. I mean, you can, but like also it's like everyone kind of dies in horror movies a lot of the time.
Yeah, they'd be like,
Like
so what? And
it's a weird thought process.
they'd be like, the other straight person also died. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's correlating one thing to another. That's like okay, but
I don't know. A lot of the movies that I watch because of the genre that I watch, it's very heterocentric.
yeah.
So I don't really see a lot of like queer and trans rep in movies. I'll see like queer actors in movies and I'm like, oh, look at them playing another straight person, you know? Um, but like I don't really see a lot of like queer people in the like genre I predominantly like to watch. I did, however, watch a movie a couple years ago. I can't remember what it's called. Oh my gosh. It was like Three Generations or something like that. I don't know. I'm trying to Google it and find it, but I can't remember what the heck it's called. But it's about this trans boy who realizes that he's trans and like tells his mom about it, and she, she's generally accepting, but it's kind of iffy on the medications and stuff, and it's like, I don't know if we want to go that far, I don't know if we want to do all that. And they're living in a house with the grandmother also, and the grandma's just like, why can't he just be a lesbian? Why does he have to be a trans kid? Doesn't make any sense to me. But of course, like when she's talking to him, she's still like, but I love you, like whatever, but she just doesn't fully understand as well. And it's just like a really good movie. Gosh, I wish I could remember what the fuck it's called. But it's just like a really good movie about like just like boy like getting his family to accept him in obviously a very like feminine safe household, but
Hmm.
like growing up as a girl, he probably was like, this is a girl's house, we're gonna do girly girl things and all of this, and like having to all of a sudden be the different one in that is just kind of like fucking up their perception of everything.
Yeah.
But it was a really good movie. I wish I could remember what the fuck it's called.
I hate when that happens.
It used to be on Netflix and now it's not anymore, and that's why I can't.
Well, they take off a lot of like queer things off of Netflix randomly.
Yeah. Which also goes into my next question. Wow, this is so weird. This has never happened before. I'll just like perfectly segue into the next question. You're great. I love having you on. Okay. Um, do you think that streaming services and like direct to streaming movies have allowed for more queer movies and even TV shows than before?
I think, yes, on a sense of there's more of them.
Hmm.
Of course, like there was a time, I mean, in my generation, there was a time when queer people couldn't even get married.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, I do, but at the same time, I don't think it's enough in general compared to all the cis and straight, well, like, things we see.
Hmm.
Like, I think if I scrolled like on Netflix through like just movies, just any
Yeah.
genre, I think it would take a couple scrolls like on my phone to actually find a queer movie.
Hmm.
And I don't think that's enough because there are a lot of queer people, and also it's a normal thing. Even I think even straight people can enjoy queer love because queer people have been enjoying straight love
Yeah.
for decades.
Yeah. The whole you can't watch a queer movie, it'll turn you gay. And it's like, what about all the queer people who watch straight movies?
Like I've watched plenty of straight movies and I'm still queer.
Yeah. Still very, very gay. So very
Like
gay. I think I think it's definitely an easier way to get like queer and trans rep out there. Um, because it's not like reliant as much on like the box office numbers, which is why a lot of like even when Lightyear did that like 2 seconds of Buzz Lightyear's friend had a wife in one screen, like cap of the movie or something. Like
yeah.
people were outraged. Like it was crazy. Absolutely ridiculous. I cannot believe you do that.
Well, that's the problem with people. People are scared of things that they don't fully comprehend, and
Yeah.
that fear turns to hatred once it festers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if we had more queer things in media, especially like
Mm-hmm.
towards like the teen generation and on, then like it will become a norm. It wouldn't,
Especially different varieties of queer things and not just the same. Coming out to the scary, possibly transphobic, homophobic parents, and then, eventually they learn, or in the other scenario, they get kicked out. And then you're like, oh, well, that happened.
there was a movie, I don't remember what it was on, and I didn't watch it, but it was about a trans girl, probably like 16, 17, 18, like who it was just about her in high school and
Hmm.
um I love that, but also at the same like because even if we don't want to see the bad parts of being queer, there are going to be bad parts in some people's lives.
Hmm.
I just don't want it to be focused on that because then that's just gonna trigger and
Yeah.
just make it seem like this is trans people are not gonna want to watch something that makes them feel uncomfortable about their own identity.
Yes. But also, a lot of those movies are not being made for trans people.
That is true.
Like, like for example, like black movies, they are usually not made with black people in mind. I have never met a black person who's like, can't wait to watch the newest black movie about slavery again.
Yeah, I always that's a weird thing in my head. I'm like, okay, but
Yeah,
who are you making that for?
yeah, and it's for the white audience. It's
Yeah.
either to educate them or to make them feel seen in the one good white character.
I watched this TikTok. I don't know when it was. It was a while ago, and it was referring to black movies about slavery and
Hmm.
stuff. But I think it can also translate to other things. Why is it that our traumas are there
Hmm.
to educate other people when they can also be educated on the good things about being these minorities?
Yeah.
Why is our trauma like this thing for you to be
Hmm.
entertained by?
Yeah. You could show not just the ways that like our is different than the cishet oppression, but also how our relationships are the same in so many ways.
Like,
I love to make jokes like, oh yeah, tell me the gay stuff. I'll do the gay stuff. It's the same as the straight stuff. It's just with same-sex person. Like,
Yeah.
but like, straight people think seriously when people say that, they're like, oh, there's gay stuff.
hmm Like, I understand I come from a really place of privilege because I have accepting home, but that's also something that happens to trans people and queer people.
Hmm.
They do get accepting homes. And it's not really shown, like it is shown, but also I have yet to encounter a situation where I'm like fearing for my life. And that happens sometimes.
Yeah.
And we see trans people fearing for life, which does happen a lot.
A
But like,
lot.
where is the trans joy
Hmm.
or the queer joy that we do experience
Or
in
just the trans nothing. Just we're just being a
being human?
teenager
Yeah.
and being trans. That's it. That's all we got.
Yeah, my trans person's life isn't just revolved around them being trans. Yeah, that's like a big part, but like I'm also human. I do normal things.
Yeah. I have 7 different hobbies that I never actually follow through on. I'm not just trans, so
Yeah. Like I like that's I don't get it. Like uh, in movies it seems like trans people's life focus on them being trans when that's not the case for the majority of the day of trans people's lives.
hmm. Or at least for me personally, I don't know. I guess if you had to constantly debate and argue like your existence, it probably is.
Yeah, I mean those are different circumstances. I'm talking about just
Yeah.
like people who are just sitting there playing games or reading books or hanging
Hmm.
out with friends. I would
Yeah.
love to see a movie like that.
Yeah. So, how do you feel about how these streaming services not only sort of like advertise these shows, but sort of treat them after they're already out?
What do you mean by that?
Well, usually a lot of people won't hear about the queer shows and movies that are being made because these streaming services
Oh,
don't really advertise them. And then
okay.
once they are advertised, they're like, yeah, whatever. Like, we're not going to make any more of it. Calm down, and like not defending it.
Oh, that I don't get it because again, being queer is just who I am, so it's not this out of norm, out of different thing. Being
Mm.
queer to me is normal. I guess to some people it is not. And so I don't understand why my sexuality, my gender can't be treated the same as straight people or cis people. Like it doesn't make sense to me
Yeah.
because this, and I guess the same thing could be said about people like that. But if they get great advertisement on their shows, why can't we get good advertisement on the shows we want to
Yeah.
watch?
Like I cannot tell you how many times I'll see an advertisement for you. I've seen so many advertisements for you. I saw barely any advertisements for The Strange World, and that is barely about being gay at all.
Yeah,
Very barely.
I saw it like once or twice.
Yeah.
And that's only because I'm actively online and
Yeah.
I have created the things around me that are very
Mhm.
queer centric.
Yeah. Like my For You page is very curated. I make sure to block even the slightest annoying thing I see on like YouTube or even Instagram. Like I'm pretty much on it. And
Yeah.
even then, I saw one advertisement for The Strange World.
Yeah, I like saw two. But that's with everything. Like I don't see big advertisement for what was it, like First Kill or something?
Oh God, I made
And
a
then they took that
video.
off.
I made a video about that on my YouTube channel because I was so excited. I was like, I can't wait till they make more. And they were like, we're not gonna make more.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
was so sad.
But that's like not
Oh,
the only lesbian show that they've taken off
yeah,
with like one season when it's had good ratings. Good people liked and enjoyed those shows.
yeah.
We can only speculate why, but there's a pretty clear answer
Well, yeah,
here.
quote unquote speculate. We pretty much know.
Yeah, we know why, but
Yeah.
They're not gonna outright say, "Hey, we took this off because we're homophobic. We took it off. I don't know. People weren't liking it, which was untrue. Because
Yeah.
also, if people weren't liking something, there's been plenty of shows that are still on Netflix that people don't like and are
Hmm.
still on there.
Emily in Paris. I've never heard
Yeah,
anyone say anything nice about that show ever.
me
Um,
either.
but it just got renewed for another season. What is it on season 4 now?
And that show's actually kind of problematic,
Yeah.
unlike First Kill, which really wasn't.
Yeah. Other than like, really shitty teen drama dialogue, it was fine.
Like that's the same dialogue as like what, like Teen Wolf or like
Or
and the
Riverdale.
oh Viv. Actually, I think it was better in the terms of how it was in Riverdale because Riverdale's very
I don't know, because the first season of Riverdale was very good, and
yeah.
then it went downhill after that. But the first season was very good.
I only watched the first season. I couldn't after that. It went weird.
Oh, it got so weird, but I had to keep watching. I had to know what happened.
I've like seen clips here and there, but like
Yeah. Anything anybody has ever said about it that's crazy, it's probably true.
yeah.
Um, okay, so my last question is, do you have any favorite canon trans characters, or do you headcanon any characters from your favorite movies as trans?
I I don't think so. They're
No?
very like cis coded or like yeah, which
Yeah.
is sad because I would like some of them to be trans. Like I think all of them could be trans in my opinion. I think I don't think it would
Yeah.
change up anything.
Anytime I watch a movie with a manic pixie dream girl in it, like
Hmm.
500 Days of Summer, or what is that? The Spotless Sunshine of the Eternal. I don't know. It's such a weird title. The one with Jim Carrey in it.
Mm.
Um, like anytime I watch a movie with a manic pixie dream girl in it, I'm like, yeah, I think manic pixie dream girls are very annoying
Yep.
the way that people do them in movies. But I think like a manic pixie dream girl in real life is really just an autistic person.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why not also make them trans?
I think manic pixie dream girls like go beyond gender at this point.
I like it. I like it. Or whenever I watch like dramas like that, I love to be like, she should just fall in love with her best friend. I don't know why she's messing with this dude.
Oh, I'm the same way. I'm like, but you guys are compatible.
Yeah, the best friend
You
is always like a little bit in love with the friend, and I'm like, oh, they should get married.
like you guys flirt. You guys act like partners at this point.
Yeah, I'm like, they should be married. I don't know why this isn't happening right now. Or like any of the guy friendships in like those movies, you're always like,
Hmm.
yeah, you should go ahead and keep talking about how you guys used to take baths together at 5. That's totally You guys totally aren't in love. Go ahead, keep going.
Yeah.
So I love to be like, yeah. But also, I just am obnoxious. Like, my boyfriend, he gets annoyed with me because every time we're watching the movie, I'm like, they're going to be gay for each other. And he's already seen the movie. He's like, no, it turns out that they're secret siblings. I'm like, oh, whatever. And then, like, 2 minutes later, I'm like, they're going to be gay for each other right there. He's like, they don't even interact. I'm like, okay.
Oh, I'm the same way. Like I've done it to my mom plenty of times, and she just rolls her eyes or
Yeah,
agrees with me sometimes.
yeah. Honestly, when my boyfriend wants to agree, I think he just laughs and doesn't say anything because I think he thinks if he encourages it, that it'll get worse. And it's already pretty bad right now.
Just every character.
Yeah,
They're gay. They're gay.
yeah,
They're gay.
yeah. Everyone. So, before we go, I have some queer themed games for you. The first game we'll be playing is Queer Advice for the Gender Conscious. This one is more of an advice thing than a game, but I feel like it's just nice to have. So the first one is, how would you give advice for dealing with stereotypes?
I would say ignore them, but also I'm a petty person. So if you like, or if you're also petty, just go with, like, put that stereotype back on them. But
Mm-hmm.
I would say ignore it. Like, stereotypes only matter if you give them that, like, thought process, because gender doesn't have a stereotype.
Mm-hmm. So be the bigger person unless you're 5'2" and then don't.
Yeah.
Gotcha. What is your queer advice for being a good ally?
Listen to trans people and queer people, like, and then stand
Mm-hmm.
up for your queer friends.
Yes.
If they can't stand up for themselves, you stand up for them. But also, don't make their transness you. Don't
Mm-hmm.
like, but like listen to them. They're your friends. Everyone has their own boundaries. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's all you can do. You can listen and stick up for them.
Yeah. Okay. And our second queer theme game is how would you make this movie queer? So the first movie I need you to make queer is Mary Poppins.
Um, I would make Mary Poppins trans. Like,
Okay.
maybe more like an agender, because they're from this magical place, seems
Yeah.
like. And agender and asexual.
Okay. I could see that, yeah. I also love that everybody interprets it as magic. I think that's so fun and so cool, but I'm just 100% sure she gave those kids drugs. She's like a spoonful of sugar, and then she like looks at her bag and she's like, "Oops, I accidentally gave them my Coke."
If it is drugs, I think my theory still stands.
And then the second movie I need you to make queer is Grease.
All of the ladies in pink, gay.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the main character, I can't remember her name.
Sandy.
Sandy, her gay too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He's just the main dude's just interpreting her wrong.
Okay. Yes.
All of them are gay.
That's
And
fair.
they're gay too. It's a beard type of situation.
Oh, they're just pretending.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All of them are gay. I mean,
Because they're like the cool gangs of the school. They have to pretend to
yeah.
date.
Yeah,
Okay.
especially during that time period too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
And
like,
that's why they all go on group dates.
yeah, they do go on group dates a lot. I know it's like the time period they go on group dates, but
Mm-hmm.
I can't see any other way. They seem very lesbian to me, and the guys seem
Just a little fruity.
just a little, yeah.
Yeah. So, do you have anything that you would like to promote?
No, I don't really post on social medias.
That's fair. All right. Well, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
It was really fun. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you again to Finnley for joining me on the topic of movies. Our Lives, Gender Included is created by Faitze, hosted by Faitze, edited by Faitze, produced by Faitze, and partially financially supported by Danielle M. To access my socials, you can go to my website, lyricallyfaight.wixsite.com/Faitze. All of the links will be in the description, and you'll find the links to all my socials on the first page of my website. And also, if you click the support page, you can support me financially via a one-time donation on my PayPal, my Cash App, or my Venmo. Or you can support just this podcast by subscribing to Anchor or subscribing to my Patreon at the various tiers that I offer in exchange for different benefits. Or you can buy my art and various products at my Redbubble. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a great rest of your day in the simulation.